I'm very pleased to be hosting the Ask Us Anything panel today. And honestly, this has got to be the biggest panel you've ever seen in your life, possibly on the planet. But as you can see, you can feel the energy in the room, so this is going to be great. Before we start the panel discussion, I would like to set the scene a little bit and to build on Helena's introduction. And hopefully that would be helpful for those who might be new to the Diversity Project. So the Diversity Project was set up 6 years ago, and as you know, we are an organization led by volunteers who are passionate about this common cause. And over the years, as Helena has mentioned, we have grown so much. So on the screen is a list of all of the 14 work streams that we currently have. And one of the natural questions that one may ask is, how come and why so many? Why not combine them into a smaller number of groups? And in a way, Helena has addressed this question in her introduction. But really, just as a reminder, we are set up this way because we want to focus on the areas that really our members are passionate about. The Diversity Project is a grassroots organization. And these work streams represent the areas that our volunteers truly care about, and it affects their lived experience. And these are the areas where they feel that the most positive change is needed. And this is why we exist. And also in the introduction, Helena has mentioned that we have now reached a key milestone. We have 100 member firms. We recognize that our member firms are at a different stage on their DEI journey. Some are much more mature, some are early stage in their journey, and having this, the benefits of having this diverse work stream is that we can cater for that wider audience. And of course, before you become so worried, we do not expect all of our member firms to participate in all of these work streams in one go. But they get to pick and choose what they want to get involved in and what they want to see change. So I hope that that's really useful background for you. So without much further ado, let's start the discussion today. So what will happen is that I will ask all of the workstream leaders who are seated next to me here. They will give you a very brief highlight of their work. And then we will go around in that order. And then we will move on to the Q&A session. But really the Q is in the name, Ask Us Anything. So this session is yours. So please get involved by asking us questions, either via the traditional route of raising your hands later on. There will be mic going out around the room. Or if you want to use technology, please use the app. So I will be screening the app, and we will certainly get to the questions online as well. So with that, let's start with Talk About Black. And Marina, over to you.
Thank you, Kelly. And good afternoon, everybody. In 2018, a study found that there were not more than 12 black portfolio managers in the entire UK investment and savings industry. An embarrassing number, as I'm sure we'll all agree. Well, in 2018, Talk About Black was formed to address that. My name's Marina Bruber. I sit on the Talk About Black work stream and also work for Man Group. The work stream has identified a number of systemic barriers, which we refer to as the kinks in the hosepipe, which prevent black people's progression from early school age years right through to senior levels in organizations. We've developed a number of initiatives. Many of those you can see on those screen. It's a huge range, and I'll just pull out a few. So we have the Catalyst Education Programme, which is support for years 12s and 13 students. We have the Skills Workshop aimed at university students, and also End Circle, which is a group mentoring program aimed at professionals who are already in our industry. So as you can see, Talk About Black have designed some fantastic initiatives. But if I could get one thing across today, it would be that we can't do it on our own, and we need everybody's help if we really want to see any significant change in this industry.
Thank you. Thank you, Marina. I'm Dimple Mistry, and I'm the co-chair of the Race and Ethnicity Workstream. Following the launch of Talk About Black, we launched in early 2021 to look at the broader race and ethnicity spectrum. Our mission is to challenge this industry status quo so that people from different races, ethnicities, backgrounds and religions have opportunities to fulfill their career potential and advance into senior positions. And most importantly, when they reach those senior positions, that they have a sense of belonging and are made to feel comfortable. And we know that diversity is invaluable to the success of any organization, and yet ethnic representation is so woefully lacking, and as Marina described, even in those statistics. So we work towards challenging and addressing this inequality through raising awareness, developing skills, building a community of ethnically diverse employees and allies. We also aim to raise understanding of religion and culture, which is often overlooked, as well as intersectionality, which is where multiple identities interrelate to create unique patterns of oppression. I myself am very intersectional. I'm quite happy to say that I'm from a low socioeconomic background. I'm an ethnic minority. I hate that word, ethnically diverse person. And I'm also, disability-wise, I'm also dyslexic and dyspraxic. So that's why I need this piece of paper. Okay, so we launched very successfully, really proud about the Fish Out of Water campaign, which is now being leveraged across the industry and within the diversity project as a whole. Also, we've launched Embrace Your Career. That includes a toolkit which a number of firms have already signed up to pledge to use within their D&I plans, as well as training and development plans within their organizations. And what we're also planning to do is launch Embrace 100, which is a platform for senior leaders to provide career advice to those pursuing senior leadership positions. The impact of religion and culture, again, is not really talked about, so this is something that we're going to explore next year. And as a measurable and key objective, we have launched the 90% campaign alongside Talk About Black, which is simply put that we challenge the industry to get to a 90% disclosure rate for ethnicity. So finally, you know, as a whole industry, regardless of our background, we do really need to come together to keep race and ethnicity high on the agenda within firms. And, you know, leaders set the tone and champion the cause. That's really, really important to create inclusive cultures. Thank you.
Thank you, Dimple. Hi there, I'm James Whiteman, co-lead of the Social Mobility Workstream. First thing I'll just say is I'm relieved to have got into the building today because I left Aviva Investors 2 months ago. So somebody's put in a good word for me, so thank you for doing that. The second thing I just wanted to say is probably you've heard quite a lot about social mobility already, so I'm going to keep this super brief and leave some space for the other work streams. So on that note, the things that we're focusing on at the moment as a work stream is raising awareness. So the potential of a polished speaker series has already been mentioned a number of times today already. I'm sure it'll be mentioned a few more. So that's our big kind of headline awareness raising piece of work. We've also kicked off a piece of work with Rachel Allen, who's recently joined the work stream, looking at our partnerships, the relationships with the loads of different organisations that operate in this space and how we interact and work with them all. We're also looking at a specific organisation called Progress Together and some case studies in our work stream about looking at progression. There's a lot of work that's already been done in this area on early careers, but looking at the progression issue and that kind of kink in the hose pipe is crucial. So we're kind of trying to unlock what the key initiatives that need to be made in that area. And that's mainly it from us, so I'll pass over to Helena.
Thanks, James. I'm going to give that already to Monique for her bit because I've got a microphone on. So I won't introduce myself again, but just to say that as well as chairing the diversity project, I lead the gender equality work, and actually we've been very focused at the moment on a seemingly intractable problem for the industry, which is the scarcity of female fund managers. And we are devising a program called the Pathway Program, which is, I think, the first of its kind globally, an intervention targeted at developing female fund managers. And there's been a core team working on this, actually a great collaboration in and of itself. We've devised a curriculum around 5 themes. They include career activism, sort of taking control of your own destiny, what it is to be a great fund manager, including understanding risk, for example, technical skills, so they might be things like modern trading techniques, sometimes things that women might not focus on quite so much as they should. Behavioural skills, including leadership skills, which a lot of women have asked us for. And then last but by no means least, paying it forward. I think this is a very important part of the programme, encouraging the first cohort, which starts in January, to really think about how they're going to help the generation of young women coming up behind them. 35 members are participating in the first cohort, 60 female participants, and they each have a sponsor. So we are involving, in that case, a lot of men who will be championing these women back at their firms. So this program doesn't sort of sit off to the side. It's a year-long program. And I'm very excited, I've got to say, about the potential. It's the first, as I say, where it's actually brought to the industry, by the industry. Most of those who are creating the curriculum are fund managers, mostly females who've gone through some of the issues that we know women face. And looking at the numbers, citywide there's about 1,600 fund managers in the whole of the UK. We're stuck at around 12% women. If we had the same number, 60, and I'm hoping that the program will grow in future years, but even if we just stayed at 60, we could in 3 years double the proportion of female fund managers. It will require the industry to grow a bit. We're not going to oust the men. I should just emphasize that point. But I'm really excited about the potential for this program. And yes, we are focusing all our efforts on it. Thank you.
So hello, I'm Monique King. I'm the lead of the Menopause workstream. This is the newest workstream for Diversity Project. So you may ask, why is menopause an issue and why is it separate from gender? So according to the Office of National Statistics, 130,000 women are experiencing menopause that work in the financial industry at any one time. Clearly, this is a wide workplace issue, and if we do not tackle the challenges that some women face, or some people face, we won't be able to make that change. So what we've asked the workstream and member firms to do is really look at the education and awareness, and to help us with that, we've created a series of webinars, including men in menopause, mental health, nutrition, exercise, and many others which are available on the webpage of Diversity Project. Additionally, we've put together a toolkit for all member firms to use, as well as a guide of menopause in the workplace, different types of menopause. And additionally, we've recently launched, which was in October, our pledge. And we've asked member firms to sign up to a number of different initiatives, some being increasing awareness, looking at policies, etc. But another bigger challenge is to look at the private medical insurance through organisations, private healthcare, because many of them do not include menopause as a standard. So there are many things that we can be doing in this area to make that change. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Anna Strellacci and I am the co-chair of the Returners workstream. And I am so ridiculously excited at our cross-company returnship program, which we run in partnership with Women Returners. The program started in 2020 in the middle of lockdown, and in the last 3 years, the number of participating employers has gone up from 5 to 10. However, there's a lot more we can do. As was mentioned a few times, the Diversity Project now has 100 members, and we would love to see every single one of you be part of this program or your program to attract the talent back into our industry. Now, next year, to broaden the appeal to our lovely employers, we will be running 2 cohorts, one starting in April and one in September. The program will have 2 routes where the employers will have the option to either offer a 6-month internship with the intention of hire at the end, so kind of a try before you buy, or to hire for a permanent role directly. The business case is actually very simple. By partnering up with women returners, you gain access to an incredibly talented, incredibly motivated pool of 8,000 candidates. 8,000. This way you'll be tackling the skills and gender pay gap. It's a very effective way of recruiting because the cost is shared amongst the employers. And you're tapping into a pool of talent that is not visible to you all. So we're here today to answer any of your questions and perhaps to bust some myths that may be preventing you from running such a program.
Thank you. Hi there, I'm Claire Black. I'm co-lead of Working Families alongside Alexa Shanks from Mercer. Our work stream focuses on how firms can best support those with parental and caring responsibilities. We also want to change the mindset of what a working family is. Families come in all shapes and sizes and with different challenges, so there is no one solution that solves for all. We have seen during the pandemic that we have shifted the way we work and the way parents and carers manage their work and home responsibilities. Fathers want to be more involved in family life, and parents and carers have adopted a more suitable work-life balance that allows them to be more present for their families. This has paved the way for gender equality and allows women to focus on their career progression as well. Organisations need to recognise this shift and ensure they have family policies to accommodate. Following the launch of our best practice guide in June, our ask of each and every member firm is for you to review your family policies to ensure they're fit for the way we work today. It could be identifying what internal conversation needs to take place to review your policies, whether they are long enough or equalised, or to identify gaps in take-up of those policies.
Thanks, Claire. Hi, I'm Gareth Miller, and alongside Rosanna Bacheri, I'm one of the leads of the Smart Working here at the Diversity Project, where we seek to promote all types of smart working practices and encourage firms to adopt a more sustainable and strategic approach to flexible working. In our view, there are many forms that smart working can take. It can describe a place of work, for example, working from home, or a type of contract, such as part-time, flexi-time, job sharing, and shift work. This year, we are really excited to introduce our hybrid working guide for managers, which addresses the challenges managers and leaders face as organisations embed business-as-usual working patterns. It's intended to share best practice and be used as a quick reference guide that offers practical support for managers at different stages of hybrid readiness and experience. For 2023, we're really excited to be partnering with other work streams to promote the intersectionality of smart working as an enabler for other aspects of diversity within our industry.
Thanks, Gareth. I'm Jennifer Matthews. I'm co-lead of the Neurodiversity workstream, which values and celebrates that we all think differently and aims to raise awareness of conditions such as autism, ADHD, dyspraxia and dyslexia. We recently conducted a survey of neurodivergent individuals working in the investments and savings industry. You can find the QR code on our stand outside with a link to the survey. Respondents highlighted skills such as creative thinking, problem solving and hyperfocus, which make them highly valuable employees. However, over half of the respondents felt unable to disclose their condition to their employer. So these superpowers are, instead of being harnessed, they're commonly being hindered. If we view neurodivergent brains as a true contribution to overall diversity of thought, there's a huge opportunity there for real business outcomes.
Thanks. I'm Ali Burnett. I'm co-lead of the mental health workstream. I'm quite new to the workstream, and the thing that attracted me to it is its intersectionality, because we all have mental health, and it's in different stages. This is always changing. It can be affected day by day or week by week. But it's not as visible and as tangible as even some of the other work streams that you can see here. It can be a bit intangible. It can be even sometimes stigmatized. I was saying to a few people outside, it's a bit like ESG. everyone's kind of, well, not everyone, some people are poking away at it, saying, well, you can't really measure it, is it really a thing? I think most people accept it's a thing, but we're going through a journey of trying to measure it and find the best means to deal with it. Some of the more positive things I've seen, and I'm a bit obsessed with this, is senior management engaging with it. So because I've been involved in line manager training, because line manager training ultimately goes all the way up, you've had senior management saying, I never thought of it that way, which is encouraging, because that's all we want to do, is just kind of bring it to the table and raise awareness. Some of the other good things I've seen are senior management sharing some vulnerability. And I'm not saying that every senior manager has to get on and start blubbing on stage and talking about previous incidents or traumas, but it is good to see them open up to it that much. And something that I did at my most recent company as well was just encouraging senior management to share how they cope with things. So particularly during lockdown, they just shared the things that they do to decompress or de-stress or whatever it is. So I've seen a lot of companies trying to do the right things, but it's quite, as I said before, it's quite difficult. It's a bit intangible. It's difficult to know what to do. And so one of the main objectives of our work stream is to put together toolkits and also a best practice guide. And the way we're going to do that best practice guide is by interviewing a cross-section of companies. And we're going to start that early next year. So if anybody wants to participate, then please come and see me at the stand outside.
Thank you very much. So my name is Tim Roberts. I'm one of the many thousands of people who are born with a disability. They are born deaf through rubella, and so I'm here to talk to you about the disability work stream. I co-share it with two other lovely people, Alex and Ashley, who I think are here today. And we have three objectives that we want to focus on. So the first one is Disability Confident. It's a government program designed to take companies through the whole recruitment process, from interviewing people, well, the application stage, interviewing people, giving them a job offer, and supporting them throughout their career. There are 3 different levels, and we have run a series of workshops to get member firms onto the Disability Confident program. There's 100 companies here. We've got over 30 at the moment signed up. Our goal is to get all 100 of you signed up to the Disability Confident program. The second thing is role models. So we looked this earlier in the year with Helena and some other sort of, highly prominent people. The role models is trying to get people who are in senior position to talk about their experience of having a disability. And that is to help people who are just starting up in the industry or lower down realize that they can actually achieve a more senior position. And then the third one is just general awareness of disability through workshops, social media, events. So on Sunday is International Day of People with Disabilities, and most companies tend to basically light up their buildings in purple. There's a slight twist to the theme this year in the UK in that obviously electricity is expensive. So there's a shift to wearing purple socks, which is why I have no purple socks on today. And so if you want to know how to buy a pair, let me know and I'll help you buy a pair. And my company, HSBC Asset Management, we're going to have a big purple stock day. So those are the main objectives in the disability work stream. That's the hands waving now.
Thank you so much. So my name is Paris Anand, and I'm the new executive sponsor for the Early Careers work stream, which aims to improve young people's understanding of appeal for and access to the savings and investment industry. Through a long-standing partnership with the charity partner Upreach, we successfully delivered pre-employment training programs for university students from disadvantaged backgrounds. This year, we supported over 3,000 students through mentoring, ongoing training, and other forms of support. Now, going forward, we're looking to leverage a lot of the great work being done across the broader work streams to ensure that we're setting those kind of pathways for students, school leavers across the broad range of society. And as we look forward to 2023, we're very much looking to extend our membership and would invite any member firms interested in joining to contact us directly.
Hello, I'm Kelly Mullane. I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm the Senior Vice President and Global Deal Manager at Northern Trust, and rather unexpectedly, perhaps, I'm also a veteran. I served for 8 years in the British Army. I was deployed to Iraq a number of times, and I attained the rank of captain. On leaving the British Army, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I knew I had transferable skills and I had some experiences that would add value to any organisation. So I, along with my brilliant team of military veterans who have all spent the last 2-3 hours in the pub, we have come up with some ideas around how veterans can add value to organisations in the finance industry. You know, the wealth of transferable skills that veterans can bring, be it leadership, be it teamwork, be it the can-do attitude, be it mental resilience, perhaps, that we can bring, is really starting to be shown in, and we're doing more and more, but I think that our work stream really wants to highlight that to organisations, and in particular to talent acquisitions and HR teams, to look at those CVs that military veterans have and kind of go, well, they don't have any direct relevant experience, but perhaps the values they bring are going to be really fantastic to our organisation. So we're going to continue doing that through our interviews, through our events, and through the blogs that we post all over our website. We also promote the signing of the Armed Forces Covenant, and this is a no-cost pledge that organisations can make to support the Armed Forces community. So my question to you all today is, if your organisation hasn't signed the Armed Forces Covenant, why not? And if you want to know more, please come and see us afterwards.
Thanks, Kelly. So I'm Dion Play. I head up the Marketing Operations Department at Legal and General Investment Management. And for my gay jobs, I am the co-chair of the LGBT strand of the Diversity Project, but also the co-founder of Interinvest, along with Kathy Denia O'Leary. So the LGBT strand is a collective. It's a collaborative effort between LGBT Great and Matt Cameron and Kathy and myself at Interinvest. We come together to remove the duplication of effort, to really support and work under the umbrella of the Diversity Project. The work we've done over the last 2 years really helps add value and create a much more diverse industry from an LGBTQ+ perspective. We focus on intersectionality. We focus on building allyship in the industry, but more importantly, around benchmarking and ensuring that we collaborate. Intersectionality, as was mentioned earlier on, and we're very proud this year to partner with the Diversity Project with Talk About Black and the Racial Equity Workstream in bringing the second Black platform for Black History Month from a queer lens. It was called We Black, We Queer, and We've Always Been Here. I say second, it's the first one was done directly by Interinvest a year ago. It's the first time we've had an all-Black panel from an LGBTQ+ perspective during Black History Month. So really, really great way to work in partnership. The other great, amazing thing we've done, again in partnership with the Diversity Project, was our Pride Initiative this year. 400 people came together for the LGBT Great Pride event, and we had 120 people marching with Interinvest for the first time for Pride. And that was a combination of allies and people from the community. So all of you, 100 firms here today, sign up to Interinvest. We're a free organization, and help us drive LGBT inclusion in our industry. And also, please take part in LGBT Great's fantastic benchmarking survey. It'll help give you great insights and help move us forward as we approach 2023. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much to all of the panelists. So that is the end of the first part, which is the presentation part. And now comes a really, really fun part, which is the Q&A. So I would love to invite you to ask. I mean, I've received lots of questions on the app, but if there's any question in the room, please raise your hand. Yes, I could see one already. The mic is coming towards you. Please introduce yourself briefly and then the question, please.
Yes, okay. So hi, I'm Niraj. Just to give a bit of background on myself, I'm neurodivergent, so I'm on the autistic spectrum, and it was good to see brief mentions of intersectionality. So, for example, for me, I'm autistic, I'm a male, and I'm from a BAME background, and being from a BAME background and being male has impacted my experiences as an autistic person, and in general, like, so obviously autism links directly to the neurodiverse work stream, but I've also seen there's links for race and ethnicity, gender equality, LGBT. That all impacts the experiences of a neurodivergent person, whether that's in society or in the workplace. So it's a question for any of you can answer. I just wanted any of you to expand on how you've seen intersectionality either benefit the work that you do in your work stream, or how it's helped how you've seen different perspectives due to different parts of the identity.
Great, thank you so much. What a wonderful question. And that really talks about the intersectionality of diversity. And I could think about quite a few people who could address that question, but perhaps because of the intersectionality aspect, I might like to ask Helena to address it first.
Well, thank you for sharing that experience, and also your, asking us specifically how it affects it. And I guess this is one of the reasons why we've introduced the theme of intersectionality, because what we had before, if I can contrast before and after, was we had the race and ethnicity, or the talk about black work, we had the LGBT work, we had the neurodiversity work, gender equality, all operating in a rather siloed way. And I'll take responsibility for that. I think we were focusing on getting actions, getting the best practice guides up and running, listening to people who wanted our help on those specifics. So what we're doing now, and I think Dion's example is a brilliant one in terms of how it works differently now, is we're saying if somebody has an idea, for example, I don't even know if the Black Queer event came about and originated from the LGBT work stream, or whether it came from the Talk About Black or race work stream, but now the work streams will collaborate. So someone will have an idea and reach out to the other people and say, actually, why don't we do something together? And why don't we try to address what it means to have both characteristics, or 3 characteristics, or 4? And I think it has already made quite an impact. Obviously, what we've seen so far is more the events, the thinking more, I think, holistically about some of these issues, not sort of, as I say, one-dimensional. We haven't yet seen the impact across the whole industry, but ultimately, I mean, some people say to me, why don't we just have one work stream that's covering everything? I mean, you've heard the range, so we need to kind of balance out, I think, how to keep that focus on something like the menopause, and yet how to also remember that people will be going through things quite differently. So it's a great point, and it remains a work in progress.
Thank you, Helena. I'm so sorry, but let me maybe go to the app first. I will try to alternate, but bear with me for 1 second. We don't want to discriminate against the online audience as well. So this one is, the Talk About Black work stream is amazing. What are your thoughts on the use of BAME or BAME moving forward? Should we move away from that as a preferred term? And Marina?
Such a good question. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on behalf of Talk About Black here. I can talk about my own personal experience, but for me as a black person in this industry, I would be preferred to be referred as black and not use the BAME term, and that the reason being that there are so many nuances amongst all of us ethnic minorities, even within the black community itself, and I think it's quite lazy to use a term like that to group everyone that's non-white in a group together, and that would just be my personal viewpoint.
I see a lot of heads nodding. I mean, I couldn't agree more myself. Thank you, Marina. So moving back to the in-person audience.
Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry. Hello everyone, my name is Shanta Martin. I have a question. So from Friday, it started the 16-day activism of domestic violence. So I want to know, for those that might have been domestically abused, what strategies do you put in place in financial services to support those that might be domestically abused? And if there's no strategies in place, then what ones are you looking to implement?
Great, thank you.
So I'm happy to go first, and then maybe Claire might want to chip in on working families. So I think it's a great shout, and I'm going to be the first to admit that despite all of this work, then there's new things or ideas about what else we need to do that keep coming up. So thank you for pointing that out. I certainly have become aware through someone I know very well who's been going through domestic abuse of just like, and obviously we've had a lot of discussions over the pandemic around it as well, that we need to focus on that as well. We haven't yet got us a nice little guide to everybody, but it is something that has been talked about, and I think we should put it on the agenda for 2023. I think it's a very important area, and I think every time one reads about the scale, is very shocking, and the hidden nature of it is obviously equally shocking. I don't know, Claire, if you want to add.
All I was going to add is, as I said, just being mindful, what is a working family? A working family is parents and carers, but it's also people who are suffering with domestic violence, regardless of gender. So we need to be inclusive of all of those and think about all of those people. And obviously, it's something we can look to focus on in the new year.
If you would like to help us, I'm always going to opportunistic. If you would like to help us, we would be very grateful for your assistance. Got it. Okay.
Great.
I always like to look out for people who can join the diversity project and help us. Yes. Sorry, Dimple would like to add.
I just wanted to add that sometimes when people come to work, we may notice differences. I think we need to be very mindful of how we judge those differences. Is someone coming in a little bit late? Is someone looking a bit slightly unkept, or is someone looking quite sad? And I think it leans into mental health as well, that we do need to notice these things and ask questions from a place of compassion. I've been exposed to, not myself, but I know of quite a few people who have been exposed to domestic violence, and there's a lot of masking that goes on. So I think we just really need to notice a lot more, notice human beings around us.
Thank you so much. So back to the online question, and this one is, so two I'm going to group into one, and it's about mental health. Should mental health even sit within the diversity project? And the second question is, for mental health, how do you avoid gaslighting people with too much focus on resilience rather than adjusting the working environment? Wow. Okay, over to you, Ali. And thank you to the people who asked those questions, but yes.
I'm going to have to man up to answer that question. Yeah. Well, I mean, so when I was preparing this thing, I was going to try and use an analogy, but then I thought it was a bit rubbish, which is a bit like, the Amazon is like the sink of the globe. It's like the lungs. It's like mental health as well as like, a bit like the sump. Because as I said before, everything that's up here and many other things in our lives do affect our mental health. And it has to be acknowledged and brought to the surface. And so for that reason alone, and I'm very aware that it's not always as tangible, and I'm very aware that there's a cohort of people who think it's being abused, and maybe there is a small cohort of people abusing it. But as a factor, I am really glad that this has come out more and more in every avenue, in work, in sport, that people are just starting to embrace mental health as something that really affects people's lives. And I think that the thing is that you don't want to get to the point where you have to surface it and manifest it through something else. That's the thing, because it is a bit intangible. But if you just if people don't really acknowledge it, then how does the distress signal come out? Something probably pretty bad. So that's why for me, having that first line of, again, acknowledging it and having a toolkit. So again, we're not saying that everybody has to become a counsellor, but being able to point people to resources and to just listen, and not just for companies to have EAPs that they point you out to and say, go and deal with it over there, is really important as part of that acknowledgement, because it's very detrimental to mental health if you're not being acknowledged. So that's the first one. I've forgotten the second one.
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
Not changing man up for.
I just wanted to add that the disability work stream actually started as disability, mental health and neurodiversity before the issue got bigger and bigger, and now they're individual work streams. In asset management, at HSBC, we have the work stream a bit like the diversity project, and neurodiversity sits within disability. We have a separate mental health work stream as well. So, sometimes the issues become bigger and bigger, and then they have their own work streams. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. So back to yes, there's some people dying to ask questions, and at the back as well. So we will get to you. Yeah, if we have yes, here, the lady over here.
Hi. To a certain degree, maybe the question is answered here. My name is Angie Hobson. I guess my question is, you had the Hampton-Alexander Review, Parker Review, and if you have a review for everything else, it'll be a while. So my question is, how do you avoid what I call the Noah's Ark syndrome, which is issue by issue, and how do companies attack it holistically and comprehensively?
So I'll have a go at that. So I think the instinctive reaction is we want to do this holistically. We want to kind of not solve for one strand at a time. And I think but I think you need the focus. I think if you didn't have a focus initially, say on women on boards and then on people of color on boards, you would end up with sort of nothing making progress. You need to have the experiences of the people who've missed out on opportunities because of their backgrounds or their identity. You need to have people who are determined to create change in that area. But we need to connect it all together. And so I think what you've done is just kind of summarize where we're at in the diversity project, that we've got these 14 dimensions of diversity. Maybe we need another separate one on domestic abuse, that there are these different angles, but we are trying to, or not angles, more important than that, dimensions, but we are constantly trying to pull it together and say, actually, please let's not solve just for one thing. Let's solve for the whole generation of talent that we want to create and make sure that generation isn't just brought into the industry, but fulfills its potential. It is I've got to say, having led the 30% Club for a while, and that seems now like a piece of, a walk in the park, because you're looking at one thing, one particular dimension of the, in terms of seniority. This is much of a bigger plan, because you're trying to change the mindset about what makes for a great person in the investment and savings industry, and how to attract those people in the first place. So I agree, this is our approach to doing it. If you've got some other ideas, I'd love to hear them.
Thank you. Back to another question from the online audience. It's great to see the work being done to drive LGBT inclusion. How can we ensure that we are not preaching to the converted? And how can other organizations get involved? So that's a perfect question for you, Dion.
Thank you very much, and a really great question. We talked about intersectionality, and that's been a big key focus for 2023 for the Diversity Project, because no person's just, it's not just their gender identity or sexuality. We're much bigger than that. There's 14 strands here. We all have parts of that in us. So through an intersectional lens, we can definitely increase education of people. So, for example, the event we had a couple of weeks ago for Black History Month was a great example of that, bringing people from different backgrounds together to truly understand and educate themselves about the challenges the Black community face, especially if they're from the LGBTQ background. So I think the more we work collectively to drive intersectionality in all our events by ensuring intersectional panels, giving people the platform to share their concerns and views, is one way of educating people and bringing us together so we can each be allies for each other. Really, really important. The second important piece they asked about, how can people get involved? Like I said earlier on, 100 companies and everybody online as well join Interinvest because it's free, right? But also because you can be part of a working group to help make a difference, like we have done for the trans community, created visibility for the bi community, because we know that normally the gay men, get the biggest platform. So by you joining us and helping us make a difference for everybody in the LGBTQ+ space, but also for the allies, we can help make the industry much more inclusive.
Great. What a great answer. Thank you. Back to the online, to the in-person audience. Yes, gentleman, way at the back.
Good afternoon. Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, Sean Taylor. Wouldn't be the same if I didn't ask a question. The question, we've had some amazing inclusive programs that are coming through for early careers, but I expect everyone is quite aware of the report that came out last week about the other end of the working scale, which is ageism, which it needs to be tackled and actually may answer into Returner's programme. It covers every single one of the work streams of the 14 I'm looking down there. Which work stream is going to be best to take a look at that and see how it can be truly intersectional and inclusive across all the strands? Thank you.
Great question.
So I think this is one for Anna to think about in their work stream. We do have an expert within the Diversity Project, and I don't know if Steve Butler is here today.
Yes, he
there
is.
He is.
Yes, he is. He's
who
just
might
raised his
want
hand.
to contribute at this juncture, who has written a book on this whole idea of, you know, sorry to spring that on you, Steve, but you might want to come in on how, as an industry, we can attract this before that. While Anna thinks of her answer, you might have to have a microphone. Do you mind, Steve, contributing? Sorry, it's a bit. People would be scared, won't they, say that they're actually here in case I pick on you. So he is the expert.
So we've recently established a 50+ resource group to look at these issues within the Diversity Project. We decided not to create another work stream because there would be not enough space on the stage. But because it intersects with all the work streams, we felt it was really important that it was a resource group to support the other work streams. So Jane and myself over the next 6 months or so will be engaging with all the work streams, looking at the 50+ perspective.
We try to think of everything.
Thank you, Steve. That's another question, another conversation to be had at the drinks. So I'm afraid that that's all the time that we have for the questions. But before we end the session today, I would like to ask all of the workstream leaders to tell you about one thing that they would like you as an audience to take away from their session. So with that, let's start with Marina.
So my ask is what we've always asked for, and that's for people to get more involved and support us. Natalie and Tutu are going to be in our discovery area in case you've got any questions, but we just need your support. So I'm happy for anyone to reach out to me directly, Marina on LinkedIn, Marina Aruba. For anyone that's serious about making change, especially for Black talent, I'm more than happy to have that conversation.
I'd echo what Marina's saying as well. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, that's absolutely fine. Dimple Mystery on LinkedIn. So I have two asks, I'm sorry. So fill in the forms. When you're filling in and you receive the diversity forms, please complete them, because if you don't, you remain invisible and you're not seen, and then that means that there's no proper evidence-based action planning. Secondly, we're outside and we have the wonderful Embrace Your Career team. Please, please pledge for the toolkit. It's amazing. It's free, which is always a good thing, right? And you know, the team are ready to help you embed that into your organization. And yeah, just support the cause, please. Thank you. We can't do it on our own. Thanks.
Thanks, Dimple. Yeah, in addition to getting in touch and getting involved, my answer is pretty boring and not very innovative, but just start collecting the data. Until you know what the data is, you're just fumbling around in the dark.
So I don't interfere. So I mentioned there are 35 firms involved with the Pathway Programme's first year. There's a lot riding on this programme. We've tried a lot of things around the edges, and we really need this to work. So if you are involved, please make sure that your participant or two participants have a lot of support back at the firm. And if you're not involved, please come and see us in the, I don't mean that threateningly, I mean, please drop by the stand. You're going to hear more about the discovery stands that we have, and come and find out a bit more about it. But we really hope that this is going to really develop and grow and be the solution we've all been looking for. Thank you.
So my ask is to really remove the stigma around menopause, and this overlaps with ageism and some of the points that we've been talking about, and also to sign up to the pledge. There's a number of different firm commitments. We're not looking for you to do all of them immediately. We've put a long timeline on there, but I think we really need to make that change. Thank you.
So for me, it will be to please ask the questions, ask the difficult questions. The biggest challenge for the returners is really the internal buy-in in firms. We get great support from CEOs, we get great support from HR managers. It's getting those roles for returners. So let's try to, bust the myths around, around returners, and do challenge us. Ask us the difficult questions. We have Julian Miles here today, who is the CEO of Women Returners. So please come and see us, and we'll try to help as much as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. So Working Families has a 5-year goal of 90% of our member firms offering maternity and paternity leave benefit of 6 months leave at 90% pay. I know that's a big ask, but we need to get there. So our ask today is that you start taking steps towards this if you're not there already. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. From Smart Working, our ask is, I say relatively simple, is really to challenge our industry to ensure flexible working is encouraged and implemented strategically within organisations in order to retain and attract the best and most diverse talent, and to implement a more inclusive long-term framework that is fit for the workplace of the future.
We've had a number of comments and questions about intersectionality, and the interesting thing, when we talk about neuro-inclusion, we're actually referring to every one of you out there who is the proud owner of a brain. So it includes absolutely everybody. And a lot of the adjustments that we're asking for, removing the labels, removing unconscious bias, actually benefits everyone, not just people who associate as being neurodiverse. My one ask for you would be to concentrate on harnessing people's strengths instead of just concentrating on their weaknesses. If anybody wants to get hold of me on LinkedIn, I'm Jennifer Matthews. There wasn't enough time to answer questions, so please do get in touch.
Thanks. My generic comment would be to encourage senior management to engage and to reinforce the messages for all of the work streams that you've seen here. And then specific to Mental Health Project, we are going to have a lovely best practice guide with some amazing case studies. So as I said earlier, come and have a chat with me if you want to get involved.
Thank you. I just think I have 100 companies here today. 30 of you have stand up to be disability confident, so the rest of you, I'd like you all to stand up. And for the 30 who are level 1 to become level 2, if you're level 2 to become level 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I've got two asks. I know it's many minutes have one ask, but the first is just for everybody to kind of reflect on the one small change that can make a huge difference in terms of their organization and their early careers process. And I'd love to kind of hear some of those ideas. So again, Paris Anand on LinkedIn. I think the other ask is that one of the things that we have to acknowledge is a barrier to success in the earlier career space is actually the attraction of the investment industry. So I think one of our missions has to be for people to really understand why it's such an amazing, rewarding, engaging work. And so again, I'd love to sort of hear ideas on, why do you think the industry is so wonderful and how do we communicate that better? Thank you.
I think my ask is really simple. There's 100 member firms, but at last count, only 12 of those member firms were signatories of the Armed Forces Covenant. This is a huge population of people that have served our country and should be given opportunities to progress their career when they do decide to leave the armed forces. So my ask is simple. Please consider signing the Armed Forces Covenant and supporting your armed forces communities. Thank you.
My ask is also very simple. There's many of you here today who have turned up because you care about inclusion. I'd love for you to pop by and see us at the stand and also to get involved. We need active people who help make us difference. We can't do it on our own. There's two of us and the people behind us, but we also need more people to come and put their hands in and sort of get stuck in doing the great stuff that we do to help make a difference. And also, very importantly, sign up for the Project 1000 run by LGBT Great. Visible role models and allies are fundamental in making a difference in the way we sort of increase LGBT inclusion in our industry.
Great, thank you. So that's it, our time is up. I know that we haven't been able to address all of the questions that come through, but please come and see us at the Workstream Discovery Stations. I'm sure we will be able to answer all of the questions that you have. If anything that we would like to go for you to go away and feel, it is to feel inspired. So please come and join us and give us a round of applause to the wonderful panelists. Thank you.